Hey, what is up, fellow raiders? This is Vulcan Dan, and in today's Raid Shadow Legends video, I just want to share 5 legendary champions that I think should be reworked sometime soon. And I know we just had a recent patch wherein some of our legendary champions and a few epic champions were had some buffs or nerfs or were reworked. And yeah, but I think they're still missing some legendary champions that are, when you pull them in the shard event, they're not as exciting as the other legendary champions. And of course, I think this topic is quite timely because we do have the times 2 sacred, which is live right now. But I will not be pulling shards today. I will be waiting for tomorrow because tomorrow, other than the times 2 sacred, we do have a times 10 for Calvalax. So of course he's a new champion and he looks great. So I'm hoping that I would get him tomorrow. So I would do a shard pull video tomorrow. I have 17 sacred shards saved up, so we will use those in tomorrow's video. All right, so let's get to it. 5 champions, 5 legendary champions that I think should really need a rework to be, exciting. So because whenever we pull a legendary, of course we want it to be something to celebrate. The first champion that I will talk about is actually one champion that had a few reworks done on her, but unfortunately still quite underwhelming, and that is Tila Gormain. She's been a meme champion. She's been around for quite a while, but she's not really being used. So she has this A1 that was buff. So this one steals 1 random buff and also steals another random buff if the target has 2 or more buffs. So yeah, this was an upgrade over the last A1 that she had, but still quite underwhelming. And she has this A2 on a 3-turn cooldown that places a single target HP burn. Single target HP burn is fine as long as it's on an A1. For an A2 to have an HP burn single target doesn't really make much sense in this game. So the only value in this skill would be the continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns. But that's really more of a skill for an epic champion if that's all you're getting from that skill. And this one is an AoE with a leech and a heal reduction, which is fine. Leech is helpful. Heal reduction is quite situational, not that useful for an AoE hit. It might be useful for the Fire Knight, but it's best if that heal reduction is on an A1. So this one is just an okay skill, not really exciting for a legendary champion. So Tila, I know you've had quite a few reworks in the past few months, but still not that excited to pull a Tila. Another one in the same faction, Nogdar. Yeah, so here another really cool looking champion. I really love the artwork here. And he does hit hard, so he's an attack type champion. So of course we expect him to hit hard, but he's really not used much in this game. And if we take a look at his reviews, as you can see, a lot of really low reviews here. So he has an A1 that heals himself by 10% of his max HP and grants an extra turn if he kills, similar to a Relic Keeper with a self-heal. This one is an AoE but sacrifices HP equal to 50% of his max HP, then places 2 continuous heals on himself for 2 turns, which is fine. So of course his skills really take a lot of his HP out, both his A2 and his A3. So these heals on his A1 and A2 does help, but we have a lot of other champions in this game that hit hard, but do not take a toll on their own HP. So yeah, so he does hit hard, but you're risking that he dies when he does his A2. His A3 is a single target that simply reduces the HP of one enemy target down to his own HP after sacrificing 50% of his max HP. So this is okay, but it's a single target hit. So it's basically saying that I'm gonna reduce yours, but I'm going to also reduce my HP. So yeah, he's a very high risk, high reward kind of legendary. But the thing is, there are so many other legendaries out there that does the same thing but without the risk. And yeah, he does have this nice self revive for with 50% HP, 50% turn meter when he's killed. If all other allies are alive, this will most likely happen because he will die with his A2 and A3. But you know, it's better if he doesn't. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying. He does have a very high attack and he does hit hard. Right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is Queen Ava. So we've had this champion for a long time now, and she's not really getting much use in this game other than campaign farming. And if you're a campaign farmer, even your starter champion Kale can do a good job of that. So you don't really need a legendary champion to farm the campaign for you. So she farms the campaign with this A3 because it resets all of her skills whenever whenever an enemy is killed. That's fine, but her A1, you know, with the heal reduction, A2 with this block revive. Other champions do this better, even epic champions like Phoenix. So this one on a 3-turn cooldown when book is really not that impressive because Phoenix's A1 does a much better job. So Queen Ava, you know, I want her to be more than just a campaign farmer. So maybe hopefully they rework her A1 and A2. Probably keep her A3 because maybe some players out there use her to farm the campaign. But yeah, rework her A1 and A2. So that's number 3, Queen Ava. Number 4 is a Shadowkin, and it's Noble, another cool looking champion, and we are hoping that, you know, the Shadowkin faction wars open up soon because it's been a long time. We already have a lot of champions, and I think a lot of players already have a good faction wars team set up. So I don't know what Plarium is waiting for the release of the Shadowkin faction wars. But anyway, Noble, attack legendary champion for the Shadowkin faction. His A1, I don't really like this. It's a chance to decrease the duration of 2 random buffs on the target by 1 turn, and of course a higher chance if there's a fear. So he does work on fear. But you know, a champion like Tila that steals buff is already underwhelming. This one does less than that, so it's even more underwhelming. So yeah, not impressed by this skill at all. But the main thing about this champion is that he has very low cooldowns on his skill. His A2 can be booked to a 2-turn cooldown and also decreases the cooldown of his A3 by 1 turn. This is on a 3-turn cooldown when booked, and then when you use the A2 and there's a fear or true fear, this will make it a 2-turn cooldown. So he does have very low cooldowns, which is very rare. But I think when they developed this champion, when they designed him, they were thinking, all right, so we're reducing the cooldowns of this champion, so we shouldn't make these skills too overpowered. But I think they really didn't, you know, it's a very low quality skill. This one ignores 30% of the target's defense, fills this champion's turn meter by 20% after the attack. You know, it's an okay A2. Of course, not as exciting as ignoring 100%, 50% of the target's defense. And they're thinking, so this champion will go fast because they have this cooldown reduction, fill the turn meter by 25%. So he gets to his skills a lot quicker. He has more turns, but why not just give him a good hard hitting skill so that he doesn't need to have this turn meter fill? So I could do away with this one and just make this hit harder, apply debuffs, or do something else. Yeah, and his A3 is an AoE hit with the chance, of course, to be a 2-turn cooldown with in combination with his A2. This decreases the enemy's turn meter by 20%, and if they are under fear, a true fear will increase this champion's turn meter by the amount of those enemies lose. So as you can see here, it's all about manipulating turn meter for both the enemy and yourself, going back to your skills a lot faster, which is fine, you know, that's great, but the skills themselves are quite underwhelming. I think he'll see some play in Faction Wars. I think he'll do okay there, but in other areas of the game, I don't think he's that excellent. And he works on fear and true fear, but the only skill that he has in his kit that applies that debuff is on his passive. Whenever an enemy's turn meter is fully depleted by any champion, has a 50% chance of placing a True Fear debuff on that enemy for 1 turn. So his turn meter reduction on his skill set is just on his A3, and it's only at 20%. So it's not that you won't be applying a lot of fear and true fear just from his A3. So you need to bring in another champion that reduces turn meter, or just bring another champion that simply applies fear or true fear to help him get his abilities off, you know, because they all have extra things that they do if there is fear or true fear. So yeah, so if you need someone else to help you out, that's not really a good sign. So yeah, so his kit definitely needs a little more buff. Yeah, and one thing to note is that he has very low speed, so quite weird, you know, if you want to make him really fast with these stuff, but you make him really slow. And the last one that I want to mention is from the Undead Hordes, and it's actually the fusion champion from last year, Eligaius. So yeah, so from last year's Halloween fusion, so this we're expecting another Halloween fusion in probably a week or two, because it's October. This one was last year. Again, really good work with the art, you know, a really cool looking champion, and on paper I actually thought he was going to be quite cool. So we were excited to build him up, to use him, but in practice his skills doesn't really do that much. He has this block active skill on his A1, and then puts the target skills on cooldown on his A2, and then if there are duplicates, of course he will do that on all of them. But why not simply make this an AoE skill, you know, remove this condition, just make this puts all enemies or maybe one skill on cooldown, similar to, I think, this guy right here, Blood Gorge. Yeah, puts one of each target skills on cooldown. So yeah, so that could be a good or something to that effect. And then this A3 is an AoE that removes 2 random buffs. Madame Ceres, who is an epic, can remove all buffs. Has a 75% chance of decreasing enemies' turn meter by 20%. So yeah, so this is an okay skill for a legendary, but not that exciting. So his A2 and A3 definitely needs some work. His A1 is fine, I think. Block active skill, single target, but you know, his A2 and A3 could use a little more work. Passive is nothing that special. So yeah, it's just such a shame that we have these cool looking champions, but they don't get much playtime in this game. So yeah, so hoping for another round of buffs. And Plarium did say that they are going to look into more frequent rebalancing in the next few months. They promised us that in their latest patch, when they did that rebalance of those 10 legendary champions. Right, so those are my 5, and of course this being a Halloween month, and we're expecting that Halloween fusion, so I thought to myself, might as well talk about this champion. And of course, because we are going to be pulling shards for the ×2 sacred this weekend, I myself have 17. So yeah, so wanted to talk about those in case you get to pull. Well, I hope you don't pull yourself at Tila, you know, so not an exciting champion or legendary to pull during this weekend. So I'm going to be pulling shards tomorrow, hoping for that, you know, to have that ×10 Calvalax. Yes, excited for that one. So yeah, so watch out for my video tomorrow, and of course please subscribe to this channel if you want to keep updated on my daily uploads. All right, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in my next video.